Hey friends, Mark Holmes here with my buddy CowboyJobu, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business, and I am done for the day. Thank God. We got the first 2 days of the week out the way. Tomorrow is hump day. Whew. And we literally only have 4 days, 22 hours, 15 minutes to go until we kick off against the Seattle Seahawks. And today, of course, is our off day. Fortunately, we've got some good news. Xavier Woods and Randy Gregory are both returning to practice, which is great because we're getting guys back while other teams like the Atlanta Falcons are losing their one of their guards. You've got the Redskins losing Fat Rob, who famously said, nobody care about no cowgirls. So there's not a whole lot of other news other than Josh Gordon, of course, going to New England, and how good is that going to be? And, of course, you've got the Seattle Seahawks losing to the Bad News Bears. I don't know if that says more about the Seattle Seahawks being the team that's about to go in the toilet or about the Chicago Bears, maybe the team that is up and coming. But as I watched that game last night, I felt like the Chicago Bears were more like the Seattle Seahawks when they first got Russell Wilson. That great defense and things like that, that offense that did enough to win. And I got to tell you, Seattle, that offensive line is going to get Russell Wilson killed. Seattle needs to go back to the drawing boards. So as we look at the division right now, everything is pretty much knotted up, with the exception of course, the New York stinking Giants that are in the basement all by themselves. What you have to look at is the schedule. Now, what I always like to think of when you talk about a season is break it up into quarters. And if you're talking about trying to make playoffs, what you want to look at is 10-6. If you can win 3 games in 2 of those quarters and at least go 500 in the other 2, that's 10-6. So as we go through the season, so far we're 1-1. If we can win 2 of the next 2 games, if we can win those 2, all of a sudden we got one of those winning quarters out of the way, and that helps a lot when it comes to playoffs. And when we looked at the schedule last year in the offseason and stuff and thought about the teams that were going to be good, and you looked at the schedule and you said, man, that is a hellacious schedule. But now that the games have started, and it's still a little early to tell what teams are really going to be. Some of them are just going to be bad, but other ones that are looking really good now may become bad, and ones that are kind of so-so may become good. But from what we have right now, we're going to look at the next 5 games for everybody in the NFC East and see how it looks and who you think after those games might be the division leader. So let's start with the Washington Redskins, who last week looked fantastic against the Cardinals. This week, they pretty much had their manhood questioned. So the Redskins' next 5 games, they have the Packers, they have the Saints, they have a bye week in this next 5 games. The Packers, do you think they're going to win against Aaron Rodgers? They got the Saints. Then they have the Panthers. Then they have us, and they have the Giants. Realistically, with the team that they put out on the field this week, knowing now that they lost one of their running backs, and I believe one of their offensive linemen is nicked up pretty bad too, I'm not sure the Redskins win more than one of those games. Now, you're always going to win some games that you don't expect. You're going to lose some that you expect to win and so forth. But when you talk about the Packers, the Saints, the Panthers, the Cowboys, and the Giants, I don't see more than one win there. So then we move on to the Giants. They've got the Texans, who you thought with Deshaun Watson coming back would be really, really good. But Deshaun Watson, it's one of those cases where maybe you guys anointed him a little too soon, because we thought he was the guy. Now he looks like just a guy. After the Texans, that's a winnable game. You got the Saints, you got the Panthers, you got the Eagles, and then you got the Skins. At best, I think you beat the Texans and the Skins. I'm not sure you beat the Saints, the Panthers, and the Eagles. Not with that offensive line. The offensive line that, to me, looks like it is the worst in football. Now, there's some other contenders that are out there, but I got to tell you, you got to be in the top 2. Let's go to the Eagles. And the Eagles, it's funny because I don't see as many of the Eagle fans in here like I did before. They kept saying that I'm just hating, but I was trying to tell you it's hard to repeat. Not because I think that you guys are just going to suck and I hate you. But we're going by the stats. On average, the team that wins the NFC East falls back 3.4 games a year. When I said that to you guys, you're basically like, you're just hater. We're going to be great for the next 10 years and everything else. We're just going to rule this thing. But right now, you've got those players that are still kind of nicked up because you had a long season. You've got, Carson Wentz coming back, which should be a boost, but your defense doesn't seem to be quite there yet. The young guys that you drafted still haven't started playing. Now, that's not to say that you guys aren't going to be formidable and that you guys aren't going to turn it around. But we're just going by what we've seen thus far. So you've got the Colts this weekend, which may be better than advertised, or the Skins just may be really bad, but you got Andrew Luck. Then you've got the Titans, which are terrible. You got the Vikings, which look to be maybe the best team in the NFC along with the Rams. You got the stinking Giants, and then you got the Panthers. So you could see you going 3-2. Maybe you beat the Panthers and Vikings, or maybe you go 4-1. But that's not to say that division games, which are always tight, that you couldn't even lose one of those. So 3-2, I think, is realistic. Okay, I know you Eagle fans are going to give me hate, but that's fine. And then you look at us, the Dallas Cowboys. We got to go to Seattle, which is always hard to play in. But I got to tell you, with them giving up 12 sacks over the last 2 games, that team is a shadow of themselves. That defense has been dismantled, and they are far from a defensive juggernaut anymore. Then you go to the Lions. Matt Patricia, are you kidding me? That team is already having a civil war, and he's only been there for 2 games. They are about as dysfunctional as it gets right now. Then you got the Texans. So we're talking about right now, the next 3 games, there's only 1 victory between those 3 teams. The Texans, like we talked about, Deshaun Watson does not look like the guy who started out last season. Then you got a tough one. The Jags, which may be the best team in the AFC, they just beat the snot out of the New England Patriots. And then you have the Skins. Now, keep in mind, anybody can beat you in the NFL. I'm not going to dispute that because on any given Sunday, you can either win or you can lose. But you look at that, and realistically, you could be 4-1 and out of that. I mean, I'm not trying to just jump on the Cowboys, but they could be 1-4. You never know. But when you look at it on paper against the teams that you're facing, this is the soft spot of the schedule. You got to go at least 3-2, if not 4-1 right here. And if we did go 4-1, can you imagine? 5-2? That would definitely kind of get you in the front of the pack. The Giants and the Redskins are way in the rearview mirror, and this is just us and the Eagles. Now, that's the way I see it. You guys tell me if I'm wrong, but right now, it looks like we have the easiest road for the next 5 games. And when you're looking at the schedule now, you thought that the Seahawks would be the Seahawks. You thought the Texans were going to be a lot better getting Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt back. And you knew you had the Jags. You thought the Skins were going to be better. And, of course, the Lions, having Matt Patricia, you figured they're going to be better because of the New England Patriots stank that he would have. So now, all of a sudden, you look at this, it ain't that bad right now. I want to hear your thoughts on what I brought in here, and I definitely know I'll hear from some of you Eagles, but then again, maybe you guys are in hiding right now since you haven't started out the way you finished last year. So as always, friends, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, this doesn't work. Oh, one other thing, too. Anyone who is going to be going to the Washington Redskins Dallas Cowboy game, October 21st. If you're interested in being part of our tailgate, last year we did the tailgate. We had about 50 people or so in there. Met Space Cowboy there. We had Cameron Billings was there. We had a lot of people came through there and stuff. But I want to literally take over FedEx Field. I want to make this the biggest tailgate. I want the Redskin fans to cry well, they're already crying. But I want to make this a really huge event. We're going to be doing all kinds of chicken wings and sliders and mojo punch and stuff like that. And if you'd like to be part of it, I need to try and get an idea of how many people we're going to need to feed and judge the interest on it. So hit me up. If you go to my website, CowboyJobu.com, I'll probably put something on there, a link to go through, but you can email me at cowboysmark94@gmail.com, and we'll start getting this stuff together because, guys, that's only a month away, and I want to make sure that we bitch slap the Washington Redskins. I'm Mark Holmes with Cowboy Jobu, and I'll see you guys soon.